Let's relive my nightmare experience flying Virgin Atlantic. The day before the flight, I go to check in online and the app says flight cancelled. I thought that must be a mistake. I've had no email, no call, no text, not even a smoke signal. And bear in mind, the flight is tomorrow. So I called up and the flight is indeed cancelled. And they were like, well, sucks for you. Well, that's not exactly what they said, but the vibe was exactly that. Like, when were you going to tell us, Virgin? Were we supposed to teleport to Miami? Virgin never told us it was cancelled. I found out by accident when I just went to check in online the day before. And thank God I did that, because if I didn't check in online and we just went on the day of the flight, we would have had no idea it was cancelled and we would have just turned up. Those of you who've been with me for a while now may remember a video I did on China Eastern, and that was such a chaotic flight experience. And now I'm just like, is it me? Am I the drama? Because why is this happening to me again? They said that the only option that would get us to Miami on time for our cruise was a connecting flight through Atlanta. It departed 5 hours earlier with the same arrival time in Miami. We saw that flight when we were booking. It was hundreds of pounds cheaper, but we paid extra for the direct flight that we originally booked because it was direct and we're flying with a baby. Like, who wants to fly for an extra 5 hours with a baby? Literally no one. And here is the cherry on top. They offered no compensation, no free upgrade, no lounge access while we're in Atlanta against our will for those 3 or 4 hours, and not even a sad little apology cookie. It is the day before we need to be in Miami at this point, and we have no choice but to just take the flight that they've offered us, and they knew that. Flights with other airlines were just extortionate. We're talking thousands for economy. I honestly started wondering, is this Virgin's secret side hustle? Like, lock you in with a nice direct flight and then wait till the last minute and then hit you with a oopsie, sorry, you got to connect through Atlanta now. We were so annoyed already. They didn't allow us to check in for this flight because it was rebooked. They said, oh no, you can only check in at the desk. Remember this because it's going to come back and bite us in the arse a bit later in the video. They also said there's no one else I could speak to. They only gave me an email if I wanted to complain to email that later. Remember that too, because that's coming up later. If you know anyone who's planning to fly with a Virgin, make sure you send this video to them so if they get screwed over, at least you tried to warn them. And like this video because I'm praying and hoping that Virgin see it. The trip was already completely over budget. We got business class flights for the way back, but on the way out we thought, let's be sensible, let's just get premium economy because the seats look good and the business class flights were giving Sell a kidney energy. They were so expensive. This is our first non-business class flight for a few years now, and it was instant regret because it was just a complete shambles. So we finally get to the airport. Remember, they didn't allow us to check in online, so we had to check in there at the airport. And surprise, they didn't even seat us together as a family traveling with a baby. They said everyone else had already checked in online and pre-chosen a seat. Hello, you didn't allow us to check in online. You told us we could only check in here. To make matters worse, we paid for premium economy. The premium economy cabin is actually a little bit nicer. The seats are a little bit more spacious. You still get a nice drinks and meal service. But guess what? Because it's a connecting flight, the second plane was a lot smaller and it's just basically economy. There was no drink service, no meal service, nothing. The only thing premium about it was our premium level of disappointment. And just when you think you're at rock bottom, Virgin just grabs that shovel. So at the airport, they told us that in Atlanta, we'll have to transfer our bags ourselves. Bear in mind, we're traveling with a baby, as I've mentioned like 12 times now. After 10 hours of traveling in this foreign airport, we're gonna have to go and collect our bags and transfer them ourselves. Like, who even does that? Bags and transfers are just automatically done. We were just starting to think then that Virgin was just punishing us for not booking business class flights. I'm gonna bring you along with me now onto the plane and show you what the premium economy cabin was like. For those of you new to Virgin Atlantic, the premium economy seat differs from standard economy in a few different ways. Firstly, the premium economy seats are a lot bigger, they are wider, they are longer, and the recline is a bit more than an economy. On arrival to the airport, you do get priority check-in in a separate lane, and you also get priority boarding. You're allowed to bring an extra 23 kilo bag, so you get 2 checked bags compared to the 1 checked bag that you get in normal economy. You do get to bring your 10 kilo hand luggage with both cabins. With upper class, class, which is Virgin Atlantic's business class name, you do get two 32-kilo check-in bags as well as your 10-kilo carry-on, and you do get to use this lounge area. On the way back, we did fly business class, so I'll be talking a bit more about the business class on that video. Make sure you check that out if you are interested. In this video though, I will just focus on premium economy. So this is the premium economy cabin that we're walking up to now. It's a separate cabin from the main economy, so it's a little bit more quiet. As you can see, the configuration is 242. The seat configuration in normal economy is 333, so there is one less seat in premium, so it makes the seats extra large and a little bit more spacious. This aircraft is an Airbus A350. There's also extra legroom, especially in these bulkhead seats, which are the seats right at the front. They have loads more legroom than all the other seats, although all these seats have more legroom than the economy cabins. Another difference between premium and economy is that the seats are fully leather, whereas in economy they are like a clothy material on the seats. These seats here next to the window, which are in twos, are the best, I think. This is the reason why we booked premium, because I thought these seats are great. In business class, you're not really very close to each other. So I really like that these seats are right next to each other, but still very spacious, especially the ones at the front. You can see how much room there is. Here is what the legroom looks like when you're in a middle row, so not right up at the front. There's still a decent amount of space there. On each seat, they have some headphones. These are not noise cancelling. They only have noise cancelling headphones in upper class. They also have a pillow and a blanket for you to use. If you're on an overnight flight, they do offer you an amenity kit in premium economy, but you don't get one if you're just in regular economy. Our flight was during the day, so we didn't get one. You also get offered complimentary Prosecco or water or some orange juice when you first sit down in premium. You don't get this when you're in economy, but this is the same that you get in upper class, but in upper class it's champagne instead of Prosecco. You do still get complimentary drinks in economy though, so don't worry if you just got economy, you'll still get drinks, but you just won't get offered any on arrival. You have to wait till the plane's actually taken off first. One more difference with economy and premium is that the screens are larger in premium than they are in economy. They're again larger if you're in upper class. As mentioned before, we were seated separately. The airline gave us separate seats, but the person next to me very kindly swapped with my husband. I'm sure he didn't want to be sat next to a baby. Let's move on now to the meal service. You do get a slightly more elevated meal experience in premium compared to economy. You get your meal served with proper cutlery and plates and glasses and stuff. So that's a difference between premium and economy. But the food was not that great, to be honest. I think the food in upper class is just way better. It wasn't bad though. It was nice. They bring all the food together all at once, whereas in upper class you get it separated into different courses. But in economy, I think it's served the same all at once. One thing that we didn't actually know before we got on the plane is that you can pre-order your meal. So before you get on, you can go online and order it through, I think, the Virgin app. And they will bring your meal first before anyone else's. So we didn't know this, but we could see other people getting theirs beforehand. And I just thought that that was such a brilliant idea. You don't have to wait around and you will always get your first choice of meal. They won't tell you that it's run out. So yeah, if you can, it's better to pre-order it, I think. Not that we had the option anyway, because they wouldn't even let us check in or anything online. They also have this thing called a Wonder Wall for premium economy customers who can just get snacks and treats whenever they want from the front of the plane. So if you're hungry and peckish, you can just grab one of those. Then we'd arrived in Atlanta where we had to transfer our bags ourselves. It was very stressful with the baby. Then we were on the second plane, which was a Delta plane from Atlanta to Miami. You can see it's a much smaller aircraft. It's only three seats and the screen is smaller. There was no drink or meal offered on this plane. It was a really uncomfortable flight. Seats were smaller with no extra legroom. Like, this is just not what we signed up for. We signed up for what I showed you earlier. Subscribe if you've also been personally victimized by an airline, and let me know your experiences in the comments. So after the flight, I emailed Virgin with the complaints email that they gave me. I was like, hello, this was such a bad flight experience. What are you going to do to make this right? Their response was an email telling me that I am entitled to nothing because I still got to Miami. Never mind all that inconvenience. Never mind that I paid extra for a direct flight. They were like, you still got to Miami, so you're entitled to nothing. But as a goodwill gesture from our part, here's 8,000 Virgin points. 8,000 Virgin points. What am I supposed to do with that? Is this a joke? You can't even buy a pack of crisps on the plane for that. I'm still waiting for them to send me an email to say this is all a prank and they were just joking. But that email has never arrived. I was just so annoyed because we paid extra for a direct flight. Not only did we not get a direct flight, we ended up getting this connecting flight, which was hundreds of pounds cheaper when we originally booked. And we also had to take off like 5 hours earlier than we would have. Our original flight was in the afternoon. We can relax, chill. The connecting flight was super early. We had to wake up at 5 a.m. to leave the house. It was so inconvenient. We had to transfer our own bags. We were stuck in Miami for a few hours with like against our will, all to land in Miami at the same time that we would have with our original flight. Let's also not forget that no one told us that our flight was cancelled until I accidentally stumbled across it myself. And Virgin was like, oh, you know, oopsie, sorry, here's some points, bye. Has anyone else had an experience with Virgin like this, or am I just a bit unlucky with them? It's safe to say I'm going to try and avoid Virgin as much as I can. We do actually have a few points with them. I have about 60,000 points now, and you can't really get much for that. They only gave me 8,000. Like, that was absolutely nothing. It was such a stressful experience. I'm definitely going to try and avoid Virgin going forward. I do have 60,000 points to use with them though, so I do need to try and see if I can find some flights to work with them. I did have a quick look and you couldn't even get much for 60,000 points. So the 8,000 points they gave me were completely useless. Thank you so much for watching my rant. Let me know your experiences with Virgin in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!